Hi guys, welcome back to the nest. Hope you're all keeping well. The new year's going quite well for a lot of us, I think. And the YouTube channel's going to be going quite well with this review. I remember the last review I wanted to give you guys something a wee bit more cooler, something you guys are a wee bit more familiar with. And I'm sure you guys, even though this is a 1960 film, I'm sure you guys are going to be familiar with this one. Tonight's review is Psycho. That's correct. It is directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I gotta say, that's some name for a movie director. Alfred Hitchcock. The man was an absolute genius whenever he made this movie. I can't remember whether this is based off a book or not. But I gotta say, this is one of the best horror films I've ever seen. I really, really enjoyed it. It is so eerie and creepy, and you just have absolutely no idea what's gonna happen in this movie. This is a horror film, well, slasher film. It's about this young woman called Marion Crane, and what do you know? Look who her boyfriend is. It is Julius Caesar. I'm just kidding. It's the guy who played Julius Caesar in the last film Spartacus that we reviewed. John Gavin. He plays Marion's boyfriend Sam Loomis, and it is such annoyance that she only gets to see Sam on her lunch breaks. And he has to send all his money away. You gotta see how angelic she is at the beginning, but then her morality just goes away. She is put in trust $40,000 that she has to take care of. So she decides to steal it. She lies to her boss that she's sick for the whole day. Unfortunately, she gets caught out by him whenever she's driving away. The thing I want to know is, why didn't her boss stop her? That's something I want to know. Why didn't her boss stop her? You know, he could have just pulled her out of the car and said, "Miss Crane, feeling better already?" However, she doesn't make it all the way to California. I think that's where she's heading to. A peeler stops her once. And, you know, she tries to act as, what's the word for it? As normal as possible. No, not normal. As casual as possible. But she forgets all about it whenever she is trying to take a new car. Yeah, what's wrong with the car you have, love? Honestly. She needs a place to stay for the night, and on the way, I wonder where this motel is actually in, because, you know, there's like a big mountain. You know, the house is right behind the motel. Someone do let me know where this, I know it's on the way to California. You know, originally Marion is from Arizona, but she goes to stay at the Bates Motel, and it is run by a man named Norman Bates under the supervision of his mother. I gotta say, I didn't know what to expect from Norman whenever I first met him. Like, I was wondering, you know, is he gonna be a nice man? But whenever I found out he is a taxidermist, you know, that's not good. You know, I don't think he killed the animals, but he stuffed them. And then there's mother. A boy's best friend is his mother. And that's something Marion didn't realise. You know, she did ask, would she not be better in some place? Some place is always better. That's what people call a mental home. Some place, isn't it? And I tell you what, Marion did say herself, you know, sometimes people deliberately lure themselves into these traps. And she has deliberately lured herself into a trap by not thinking before speaking and asking Norman an inappropriate question about his mother. You know, would she not be better in some place? I will tell you what though, as soon as she saw that he was getting annoyed, I would have just left and gone stay somewhere else. Because of that minute, you know, he comes through with the famous scene. She is stabbed to death. I gotta say, obviously I didn't know who this was originally. I thought it was the mum, because you do hear, you know, a female voice, when really it's just Norman talking in a high-pitched voice. And also another thing that, you know, kind of turned me away from it being Norman is he came down and he was horrified to see Marion's dead body. Oh, something I found out about that scene was it was originally meant to be silent, but I think at the last minute, they just decided to, compose it anyway. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta listen to your director, especially if it's Alfred Hitchcock. Sometimes you don't. Luckily, he managed to hide the body and he put it in a swamp. I didn't even realise, because remember, this is a movie in black and white. And I think that's also what made it harder for me to work out whereabouts in America the Bates Motel is. 1 week later, Marion's sister Lila arrives and she starts wondering where she is, because she hasn't heard from her all week. And they hire Arbogast, a private detective, to go and question Norman. That'll be all. I'm quite busy, Mr. Arbogast. No, that won't be all. Well, if you're acting suspicious, you obviously have something to hide. If you have nothing to worry about, you have nothing to hide. But, of course, Arbogast gets a wee bit too confident. He decides to go into the actual house. But turns out Mother kills again. Oh, blood, Mother, blood! I found out that they actually got rid of the bass tones in Anthony Perkins' voice so he could sound like a frightened teenager, someone of my age. Well, Anthony Perkins was quite young. I found out he was only about 31 whenever Psycho was released. I really loved, hearing the backstory, the truth about Norman's mother. She'd actually been dead a whole decade whenever he was meant to be taking care of her. And obviously people saw her sitting by the window. But Sam and Lila decide to go over to the motel themselves. Sam keeps him occupied. Lila goes to investigate. They have a wee bit of a tussle. This was probably the scariest scene in the whole movie. Lila goes up to the room. Nobody is there. Down into the basement. Miss Bates. Turn around. It is the mummified corpse of Mrs. Bates. And I gotta say, I was very nearly ready to scream. I will admit, my granny was watching this movie with me. Surprisingly, she wasn't scared, but I will say she really enjoyed this movie. I'm actually really surprised she'd never seen it before. And I'm really surprised that she really enjoyed it. I thought she was going to be a wee bit terrified of this movie, but you have to remember there are nothing supernatural in this movie, just what was the word for it? A serial killer with a split personality. It was very, very creepy whenever whenever Norman came through wearing his mother's clothes. Ah! Luckily, Sam managed to knock him out at the last minute. So it turns out he actually killed his mother. All because of the guy she was seeing. And the mother personality has completely took over. It was hard for me to work out, his backstory and why he decided to become mother. It turns out, he was just trying to blame his mother for all his crimes. Really, he was the killer, but it turns out the mother personality has completely taken over. I do feel sorry for Norman, even though he is a bad guy, he is a big serial killer. You can kind of feel sorry for him to a certain extent. I don't know if I should say this, but you have to remember there are people like that in IRL. Norman ends the film with his signature stare. And thus ends the movie. He went along with the clothes and everything. He tried to frame his mother for all the crimes. It's hard for me to understand all that because there's a lot to Norman Bates. That he's got such a big backstory. He is a very interesting character. I just wish they kind of showed flashbacks a wee bit. Of his life. When he was a kid. His mother. They could have just put back where Psycho may just be set in the year it was released in 1960. It just says Friday 11th of, I can't remember the month, but it was Friday the 11th of December or something. It's a bit weird. But it tells the time and everything, but it doesn't tell us the year. How dare you, Mr. Hitchcock, for not even telling us the time or the year. you know, I will say he did a very good job with this movie. I also found out that Walt Disney did not let Alfred Hitchcock direct in Disneyland. Our good friend Walt Disney, he would not let Alfred Hitchcock direct in the in Disneyland in the early 1960s because he directed that disgusting movie Psycho. I don't know what way Walt Disney spoke, but obviously he was American, so like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. It was so creepy and eerie. It wasn't that scary because I think it's just, from the 1960s, they were only getting started. Like, this was the first proper horror film. I don't know if that's the word for it, but you know what I mean. And, they got the iconic shower scene. You find out Mother. That's probably the only scary part in the whole film, seeing her mummified corpse. And, the creepiest part was just whenever you see Norman wearing his mother's clothes. Ah! Oh, Norman, you are a prankster. I shall see you guys in the next review. Thank you so much for watching. The review will either be on... Yes, the review will be on Thursday night. If I have the time. We're going to be starting off 1961 in the next review. It's still something you guys know. Don't forget, I'm going to be giving you guys movies you're all familiar with. 1960s when things are a wee bit more cooler. 1950s, things were that's when the whole world went cool. Rock music. That's when music became with Elvis and all. But the Beatles took over. But hope you guys enjoy the next review. Hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a like and don't forget to comment what movie you'd like to see reviewed next. I shall see you guys in the next review. Love you all to death. Take care of yourselves.